I went to my first hardcore metal show and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. So let me set the scene. I'm at an open mic one Saturday afternoon and I bump into a musician called Sam, and he tells me about a gig he's promoting for that evening in Hebe's basement. So I offered to come along with my camera and shoot some gig footage. As I arrived there, I come to find out it's like a hardcore nu metal type of event, a genre that I'm not really familiar with at all. So there were 3 acts on the bill, and there was one performance in particular that really caught my attention. The lead singer for a band called Murdoch, who were the opening act. He had this intense aura on stage. I think the best quality a musician can have is authenticity, and this guy has it in spades. So I've gotten in touch with him online and I've organised an interview outside Liverpool Cathedral to ask him some questions about his music.
Round here the jobs are disappearing. The bread's getting stale and the kids still need feeding. Mums knee deep in laundry bills and 3 tills just to keep our heads above water. And her fingers are bleeding.
It's a hard fucking place round here, but the people are harder. The bags under our eyes are black and the tar in our lungs is darker, but we have haggled and travelled farther, so much further than our forefathers could have ever dreamt of.
We've bent our backs end to end just for crumbs and pennies and spent countless hours in kitchen counter rows, unaroused at the very thought of ever giving in. And when they closed the pits and pissed on our history,
we rose above their shit. Despite the scum's despicable stories, never mind the Tories' acritical whitewash glory, we stood strong. As the rug was being pulled from under our feet, we put on our grafting boots and gripped tight and fought viciously to acquit our name in the beautiful north.
Sure, our streets are dirty, and our language is one of which the Queen may not suit. But we unashamedly hold our heads high in dispute. Through the air-fixed grey clouds that hang like rotten fruit, even the scallies and the destitute share the same undying attitude.
Because it's a hard fucking place round here. But when life's hard, you can only push through, not half. This next song's called Fuck the Tories.
Hey, so thanks for sitting down and talking to me. I'd mentioned to you on the way up here that I felt like you really stole the show when I come to watch your live performance. So I had to reach out and kind of ask you some questions. How would you categorise your music, or what genre would you say you fit in with?
Yeah, I always say to people that it's just post-hardcore. And certain people I just say it's alt rock because it's kind of easier just to say that. Post-hardcore probably, but it's an amalgamation of everything that's influenced me. I know that sounds corny because everyone's the same, but that sonically it is a direct, influence from so many different genres, post-rock and hardcore, and like, spoken word poetry as well is a huge part of it. So
I mentioned how much I was taken aback by your performance. How do you get in the zone to perform like that?
Honestly, a couple of pints usually helps. I do some press-ups and sit-ups before the play just to get the energy going, and I just go into it. There isn't. I don't need to sort of get myself mentally psyched up because, like I said to you on the way up here, it's the songs are things that I always think about. They're a continuation of what's going on in there. So when I'm actually singing them, I'm thinking about those things, and that's what's getting me in the moment for that particular song. And then, you know, the night just flows on, and whatever happens in the next song happens. It's the most important part of what Murdoch is honesty and authenticity. Every song is just a piece of a collection of ruminations that are going on inside my head and have been going on for years. You know, they're real life experiences. They're people that I meet that I care about. You know, it has to be from the heart, otherwise there's no point in me doing it. The day I write, you know, a corny pop love song is the day that I stop making music.
Right. Do you think that your style of music is better suited to kind of address certain topics, or like you say with the spoken word stuff? That was really effective when I saw it when you performed it live, and then when you've done it now as well. Do you think about your genre being kind of integral to the message?
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, going back to, you know, the early days of hardcore in the 80s in America and what was going on over there. You know, gay people were being beaten up on the streets, black people were being murdered. The government didn't care about them. So they were angry about it, and that's what they wrote about. And cut to today, we're still seeing the same things happening every day. We've got governments that don't give a shit about us. And the music is the perfect vessel for that message to be carried on. It's angry, it's intense, it's just a big fuck you. That's what the sound is, and that's what the message should be. Like I say, if I was singing pop lyrics over the top of that music, it might sound good, but it wouldn't mean anything. And the genre is definitely the, like I say, the vessel for it. You see it in so many different genres of heavy music as well. Like, you know, you've got metalcore bands that are writing about how we're completely destroying the planet. Bands like To The Grave and Gojira talking about animal slaughter and, you know, mass garbage dumps in the ocean. Like, it's angry. It's supposed to be angry, and it's supposed to have a message behind it.
Right. So I'm going to do a little poem, I'm going to talk even more, and you'll be fucking sick of my voice by the end of the night. But the Tories are in power at the moment. There we go, that's what I wanted you to say, and hopefully they won't be for much longer. Let's hope they won't be. Not that Labour makes a fucking difference, because they're all spineless bastards. So I'm going to tell you a story about the North, and then we're going to play a song about the North and how the Conservatives completely fucked this part of the country.
Right. Well, I'd mentioned how I'm not really familiar with these genres of music, and coming to this gig and seeing you perform was kind of a discovery for me. like a pleasant one. I'd you know, because I'd had a very kind of basic understanding. You know, I could name a few bands here and there, but I don't really know. Is there a thriving hardcore scene, or is it in development? How would you describe the scene that you're in and trying to build at the moment?
There's a very loyal community of hardcore bands that exist in the city. A great venue that's supporting all these acts is Guac and Roll, run by two amazing people, big punk, hardcore, vegan activists, love them to bits. They're amazing people, and they're putting on that scene. They're kind of like they're the people that I would say they're the ones to look for if you want to go and check it out. They're the people, because they're supporting that scene. So it does exist. In terms of sort of what I'm doing, it's like, it's not the same as your traditional punk hardcore from the 80s, like your oi punk and all that. It's as you've heard, it's a very different sound to, you know, something like Sex Pistols or whatever.
Right.
So that kind of sound, I think, is in development. There's a lot of grunge bands. There's a lot of metal bands as well. There's a lot of metalcore bands, but the post-hardcore sort of emo scene, I think, is still kind of developing itself, finding its feet, because I don't know, for a multitude of reasons. I think what's popular at the moment is your kind of grunge, and then everything else is neo soul or singer-songwriter, you know, scouser with an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's literally a billion of them in the city,
and that's no shame on them either.
I know, right? Yeah,
you know,
but that's what's popular, right?
That's what works.
So one thing I'd noticed is, like, you know, you mentioned about like metal and punk and hardcore. Kind of, it seems like the three acts that were on when I seen you at the gig, they were all somewhat in the same genre, but not, you know, they're kind of three different sub-genres.
Yeah.
Blood on my head! The options are taken away! Feel the fear of denial!
Yeah.
And is it such that you need to kind of team up and coalesce together to kind of combine your fan bases to try and galvanise like a wider support?
It really is, because, like you say, there was new metal going on. There was a little bit of grindcore stuff. There was like metalcore. There was all kind of
there's like pig squealing.
Pig squealing, yeah, exactly. And then you got me doing the post-hardcore kind of spoken word stuff, and that, you know, it's completely different. Yeah, it's heavy, but it's completely different to new metal.
Right.
But, you know, we find usually that our gigs, people come in to go and see someone else, and they'll see us and go, oh,
right.
I kind of like that stuff, you know, and then that's what we need is those people kind of discovering new sounds in the sort of heavy genres. So yeah, it is important that we kind of stick together in that way, and we find ourselves gigging with bands that are completely different to our sound, have amazing gigs with them and making new fans out of it. But in terms of like a post-hardcore or a sort of emo scene, there isn't like I'm always on with those kind of 5 bands. You know, that doesn't really happen. If that kind of answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think it's really interesting because, you know, from my kind of limited understanding, it seems like it's probably harder for bands that maybe have a heavier sound because if you're just a singer-songwriter with a guitar, you can play in a pub on any street in town, really, with no notice, with just the PA or your little amp. Whereas for you to get booked in, and the scene itself requires a bit more support in terms of having the right venues. Like Liverpool at the moment is really struggling to have the right intermediate venues between like an arena and a tiny club. You know what I mean? There's no real middle ground compared to say like Manchester or London, which will have a completely different scene. And I think the bands and the kind of music that suffers is the stuff that, you know, when you need a full drum kit there and you need your full pedal board or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, do you find that? Yeah,
definitely. I think that you've hit the nail on the head. Like you say, it's either arenas or tiny little things, and there isn't that sort of middle ground for it. Obviously you've got things like the Arts Club, which is great, and I've played many gigs there at the Arts Club with different kinds of bands, and that's a nice sort of intermediate.
Right.
But like I played in Manchester on Sunday with my other band Bleach Brain, and like we played at the Pier Hat, an amazing little punk dive bar, Boss. But that really boosts the scene for the other places as well. Like there's lots of other good venues, and they kind of work together and go, oh, there's a punk night happening on here, and there's this going on there, and like you say, those other cities really have that, and Liverpool doesn't have the same sort of
like infrastructure.
Yeah. Like basically it's just not there.
In terms of your progression in the future, you mentioned about an avant-garde, or in your words, like a project that's tying your songs together in a kind of well, can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So we're planning a little avant-garde sort of music video piece thing, because we wanted to make a music video, and none of us liked the idea of bunch of lads in a warehouse playing guitar, like typical like heavy music video kind of thing. None of us like that, and because the songs are so important to me and there is a message, that story needs to be told visually for those, and not just with us playing guitar and then some snapshots of something happening. So we want to create this sort of three song avant-garde kind of movie, set in different locations that are kind of tied together with one linear idea.
Like a narrative.
Then the stories aren't related, but you find a relation through each of the stories. They do connect. And again, because they are just like ruminations, there is a coherent sort of thing between all three of them. So that's something we're planning in the future.
Right. So this is something I'm curious with everyone I speak to. How do you deal with the modern kind of reality of being a musician, where you have to kind of be a social media influencer and think about making reels and TikToks and stuff? How much do you engage with that? Is it a necessary evil?
It is a necessary evil. Honestly, I hate it. I hate what TikTok and Instagram has done to music. As much as I hate Daniel Ek, who runs Spotify, for what he's done to music and what he's done to musicians. It's a necessary evil, but you see these videos of bands who are looking to get signed by a label. I saw one recently. This band gets called up by their label that they're interested in, and the guy goes, yeah, we really like your sound, your visuals are great, everything's cool, you don't have enough followers, so for that reason we're not going to sign you. And it's like, what does that actually mean? What does that? You want numbers on a screen. That's what you want. You don't want quality, and that pisses me off. And you know, respect to people out there on TikTok, like you likes of Olivia Rodrigo, who one night she's, you know, making covers in her room, and the next night she's doing world tours kind of thing, because she just spammed TikTok with loads of content and it fucking worked. Good for them. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't represent me, and it doesn't represent what Murdoch is. You know, we are planning to sort of rebrand ourselves visually, just to make things look a little bit more coherent, because we are aware that, you know, like our social media is a bit over the place, because honestly we don't really care. We're about playing music and sending a message, so we're like, fuck it, right, we may as well, like I said, it is a necessary evil, we'll make things look a little bit nicer. But I'm not about to go out there and start making bullshit content. I tried it and I hated it, and I deleted it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Lewis Capaldi, he's big on TikTok, and he does a lot of stuff where he's like making jokes. You know, he'll make a TikTok and it'll blow up because he was funny, and it has nothing to do with his music.
Yeah.
And then people, he'll get recognised on the street, and someone will be like, "You're the comedian from TikTok," you know. And it's kind of like you know, like I find it really strange, and it's, you know, and I think the thing is, especially if you've got music that is like you're trying to cut through the noise and say something important. It's counterintuitive to be like oh, here's me and here's a day in the life, because sometimes like art and artists are better when they're like, you know, how do I put it? If I was standing next to the Mona Lisa and was it Leonardo da Vinci was standing next to it, and he said, "Here's what I was thinking about when I painted this." I don't think it would be the same as you just taking the painting in on itself. And sometimes a piece of music should be taken in just as a piece of music, and you don't need the singer to be like, "Here's what I was thinking about when I wrote this song." You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
And maybe it might take away from it.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I agree. And like I said, I tried doing stuff like that on TikTok when I first sort of got on it, and I was like, all right, I'll do a little bit of a day in the life, or excuse me, I'll tell a little joke or whatever. And I watched it back and it just pissed me off.
Yeah,
because I'm like, that's
not unnatural.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I can have a laugh and make jokes about stuff, but that's not what this is. You know,
right? Yeah.
If I had my own TikTok, maybe that's what would be on there. But
right. Yeah, but it won't service the art that you're creating. You know what I mean?
There's no point. And you know, we've talked about it before. Is the authenticity, and that is everything that I stand for. Is being authentic.
Yeah, and I mean, like, what kind of the thing that turned me on to your music was seeing you live. And I think maybe that's probably a way, maybe, like, you know, some people are prioritising, you know, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube or whatever. But if you can get out there in front of as many people, you know, and you can convert them, you know, on a one-to-one basis, or, you know, not one-to-one, but like on an audience-by-audience basis, like, how often do you get out? Like,
we're not always available. We're always like, you know, we all work full-time jobs, and again, that's the reality of it. We're not always free to get together and put out gigs and get ourselves going like that. We are working on it. We're trying to get ourselves on the up a lot more. We've got a lot of gigs coming up in the future, but yeah, I don't know, lost my train of thought with it. Just sort of got lost in the misery of working a 9 to 5. So
yeah, I mean,
as much as I love my job, but yeah, it's, you know, when you're trying to do this, it's not as easy as I think people make it out, especially on social media. People make it look like you can just be this fucking beautiful musician and life's easy, and that's not reality, you know. Sorry if I went off on a tangent there.
No, it's fine. So, next question. This is something I am really curious about.
Yeah.
The head banging, right? I'm not going to do it because it's going to mess my hair up.
You ready to bang your fucking head? Bang your fucking head!
But like, there's a type of when you're on stage, you really go up and down.
Right.
Is that like sustainable in the long term? Do you ever get like a headache or anything? Is that a stupid question?
My back's always killing me. My back's always killing me.
Because you literally go like 90 degrees, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's just your head. You fully like commit to the head bob, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's like, I know, trying not to be too deep about it, but like I said to you, the songs mean something to me. So when I'm performing them, I'm not putting on anything. There's
you can't half-arse it. You've got to.
But it's instinctive. I'm not planning on doing these things.
I see.
The way I move on stage is just how I feel in that moment.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, sometimes my back's fucking killing me the next day, or
yeah.
you know, sometimes my calves because I end up stretching over and pulling something. Yeah, yeah. That's never headaches, but yeah, a lot of pulled muscles.
Right. If there was a song that you could point to people towards to go and check out, which one would you tell people to start with?
It'd be our latest one, Hiraeth. That's the one we've put out, I don't know, like a month, no, probably like 2 months ago. And Hiraeth is about, here's me explaining what the song's about. But it's about a feeling that you can't explain. That's what Hiraeth is. It's a Welsh word for the longing for a place or a person, but in a very dour and sad kind of way.
Right.
And I think sonically and lyrically, that song represents us the best. So Hiraeth, it's on Spotify, it's on all the streaming crap, every single one of them, whatever it is. Tag it in your Instagram videos if you want. So that's the one I'd say, yeah. And after that, probably go and listen to Dolores because everyone loves that one.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I like to talk, so it's perfect.
Great. Okay.